Thanks to the folks who led the way. Thanks to the folks, let us thank them every day.
Welcome to the Fresh Toones Show. My name is Dave Paltz. And the first Friday of every month, I do an inspirational live show. And today's show is dedicated to Wilmer Mankiller. Although her name might sound kind of scary, she worked with other folk, and she actually worked with the federal government to pilot a self-government agreement for the Cherokee Nation and with the Environmental Protection Agency. I'll get into a little bit more of her story because it's quite a story, and although she's no longer with us, her spirit is certainly with us. And to get right into the music today, I'm going to share a recent song of mine called Drop by Drop. And on many of the reservations, water rights and getting fresh water to the people that live on the reservation is a big concern and a problem. And Wilma Mankiller certainly worked to try to resolve that problem. This song wasn't necessarily written specifically for that challenge, but this song called Drop by Drop was actually inspired by a poem that I wrote about tears. Then it took this sharp turn and went into a political song about how some of the rich are trying to maneuver themselves and to be able to control clean water and eventually be able to sell that to people because they'll pay any price if that's what you need to survive on. So I address some of that greed in the song. I'll play it for you now. It's called Drop by Drop.
The pain that drives them on. What once was a trickle now floods our cities wide. Some thought they were untouchable, but the river said you cannot hide. There's a clamor at the gateway, but the king said bar the doors. The water is rising from the tears of those who mourn. They once lived in a country where water was not feared, where water was a blessing that all held dear. But one in 100 said I'll never have enough. So they stole all of the water, sold it for gold, drop by drop. Drop by drop, they sold it drop by drop. It's gold they want, and they'll never stop.
around and say they're all self-made, but their riches have built a living grave. Drop by drop, they sold it drop by drop. It's gold they want, and they'll never stop. Well, the theme of today's show is Inspirational Lives, and today's show is about Wilma Mankiller. She's probably best remembered as the first principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, but her life, in particular her early life, back in 1969 when she joined the Alcatraz occupation, she was just 24 at the time, but so much was going on in the nation at that time. But she realized when she joined that group that it really brought attention to the problems with the reservation and the living conditions of so many Native Americans, that it changed her life, and she became a lifetime activist. Most of her efforts were focused on education and job training and overall health care for her people. She really believed in the strength of her people and that the Cherokee Nation could once again offer a fuller life for all the members of the Cherokee Nation and fuller life for all Native Americans. The next song I'm going to play is a song that I rewrote the words to, one of Woody Guthrie's songs. Probably from the time I was just a kid in grammar school, I always enjoyed singing the song, "This Land is Your Land." As I got older and I kept singing the song, I started to get a feel like maybe those words some people may take in a sense of possessing the land. This is our land. So I took the short version of that title, "This Land," and I added the lines, "This land needs care from me and you." And I rewrote the words, used the melody, but I think Woody would have been cool with it because Woody often did that with other popular songs. He'd take the popular music that everybody was familiar with and he'd put some more contemporary words to it, and usually related with social activism. I've always respected Woody and Wilma for their efforts to bring about some change. This song is called "This Land Needs Care from Me and You." This land is God's land. We're stewards of the land. From California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land needs care from you and me. On the road, I met a family. voice of the land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land needs care from you and me. Yes, this land needs care from you and me. So to continue today's show, dedicated to Wilmer Mankiller, I'm going to do a little less talking this time and just play this song of mine called Sad Day at Wounded Knee. It was a sad day at Wounded Knee. The sky was green, the grass was blue, the sun was purple, and the clouds were blue. The morning rose, the birds chimed in, then the guns rang out and the soldiers rode in. Yelling, screaming, out of mind. The birds flew off, but the children died. Shot down like the buffalo, stomped on your spirit and scalped your home. We know the words, we know the song. It's time to right this unforgettable wrong. I don't think it is too late to make amends for our mistakes. We tell our children to tell the truth. It's time to put those words to good use. It was a sad day at Wounded Knee. Well, in 1985, when Wilma Mankiller ran for the principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, first time a woman ever even had tried to run as the principal chief, there was a lot of sexism in the Cherokee Nation. Her life was threatened, but she fought and eventually beat out the normally expected competition. And then she went on to represent the Cherokee Nation in a very effective way. And if anybody really exemplifies, if there's a will, there's a way, I think Wilma Mankiller really exhibited this confidence, and that's why she was as successful as she was. If there's a will, there's a way. America can't breathe if we refuse to see the things we need to change today. We've worked through harder things, some say this one's too big. There's a will, there is a way. So lift up your eyes now, stand up and say, well, she's not perfect and neither am I. We've got to work together if we want to survive. We've got to use our heads and figure it out and be brave enough to look at ourselves. 'Cause America can't breathe if we refuse to see the things we need to change today. We've worked through harder things, some say this one's too big. But there's a will, there is got to lift up our eyes now. Stand up and say, well, she's not perfect and neither am I. We've got to work together if we want to survive. We've got to use our heads and figure it out. Be brave enough to look at ourselves. America can't breathe if we refuse to see the things we need to change today. We've worked through harder things. Some say this one's too big, but if there's a will, there is a way. 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 This is the Fresh Toones Show, and today's Inspirational Lives episode is dedicated to Wilma Mankiller. I've shared some of her stories on today's Fresh Toones Show, but if you want to learn a lot more about her, there's a book called Mankiller, A Chief and Her People, and there's a documentary that's out called Mankiller. You should check them out and learn a lot more about her than I could share with you today. There's an awful lot of folks that want to be the star, and maybe it's in LA or wherever, but she was certainly a star and gave us some directions that we might like to follow. This new song of mine is called There's a Star. There's a star shining with love, with brilliant notes the chimes are rung for us to come, to melt the haze and see, to radiate and be the light we've seen. A summery dream to keep us warm, to bask in her light and bear out our love. There's a star there in the dark sky, a blinking light to guide our lives, to steer us home. To steer us home where we belong, to give us words to write our songs, to give us hands to open wide, so we can shine our light and give our love and be the star we want to be. There's a star shining with love, with brilliant notes the chimes are rung for us to come. There's a star there in the dark sky, a blinking light to guide our lives, to steer us home. To steer us home where we belong, to give us words to write our songs, to give us hands to open wide, so we can shine our light and give our love and be the star we want to be. Well, Wilma Mankiller fought really hard to break down the sexism that existed in the Cherokee Nation. And actually in the past, the Cherokee culture had embraced women in power. And she tried to bring this to the attention of all the Cherokees, that there was a delicate balance that existed in the well-ordered world of men and women. She was pretty successful in her efforts, but unfortunately in 2010, she died from pancreatic cancer. Forcefully said, "I'm going to sing right to the end and I'm going to fight for what I believe in." And she certainly did that. This is a song of mine called "Gonna Sing Until I'm Done."
I've got a little while left before I take my rest. Gonna sing until I'm done, till I melt into the sun. I love you, yes I do. Can you feel me loving you? Till I return from whence I've come. Gonna love you, everyone. If some night I should forget, when I'm lonely and low on rest, just tell me it'll be alright, and I'll remember what I like. I love you, yes I do. Can you see me loving you? Till I return from whence I've come. Gonna love you, everyone. I sit and wonder now at this life and how it's gone. Sometimes I wonder how I made it through, but then I remember that I love you. I love you, yes I do. Can you feel me loving you? Till I return from whence I've come. Gonna love you, everyone. From whence I've come, gonna love you, everyone.
Well, Wilma Mankiller really worked hard her whole life to try to work towards a world that she wanted to live in, and she wanted her Cherokee Nation to live in, and all Native Americans and everyone actually to live in a better world than we presently are part of. We've got a pretty good lifestyle here, but there's certainly things that need improvement, and she certainly was a prime social activist that it was a shame to lose. But her spirit and inspiration can live on in many of us, and hopefully we can contribute to that world that we'd all like to live in. This song is called "The World We Want to Live In."
The world we want to live in is changing every day. It's up to us and how we choose to live. That'll decide which way she goes. She listens closely every day to hear what we've got to say. If we just think it out, we can turn this world about. World is changing every today as the folks we want to be, to change the world that we see. 'Cause the world we want to live in is changing every day. It's up to us in how we choose to live. That'll decide which way she goes. 'Cause she listens closely every day to hear what we've got to say. If we just think it out, we can turn this world about. 'Cause the world we want to live in is changing every day. It's up to us in how we choose to live. That'll decide which way she goes. We'll decide which way we go.
That's it for the Fresh Toones Show. Have a great week. So long now.